Good greetings and welcome to Serenity. The prayer for which our time together is named is written by the great Reinhold Niebuhr. And it reads, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The primary purpose of Serenity is to share with you information and inspiration. Our byline, so to speak, is this: to have peace on earth and goodwill toward all. All must first begin by having peace and goodwill within. We also want to take this time to acknowledge that on April the 4th, 1968, that our beloved prophet, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. We extend acknowledgement and appreciation to family members, to friends, to colleagues, and to citizens across the nation, our appreciation for his life and his legacy. Today we are continuing with our guest, the Reverend Dr. Chaplain Lang Yang, and we are going to proceed by asking him to give us a little bit of history. Again, personal history, church history, family history, and then a little bit about the potential obstacles he has contended with while witnessing to the Hmongs to become Christians, as well as a couple of other questions. And then we are going to proceed with this fabulous uniform that he's wearing, what it means, why he's wearing it, how he was called not just to ministry, but also to serve in the Civil Air Patrol. It is called CAP, C-A-P. But first, Pastor Lang, welcome back to Serenity. And if you could just briefly give us a little bit more information for those who did not see the first segment of the show, your history, where you're from, how you got from Laos to America, how you got to North Carolina, then how you got from North Carolina to Michigan, and how you met your wife, and those type of things.
Sure. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, my ethnic is called Hmong, H-M-O-N-G. It is mean free people. We originated from China back in the early 14th century, and then we immigrated to Southeast Asia, where most of the majority of the Hmong people live now after the Civil War with the Chinese. But the majority of the Hmong still live, close to 10 million people in China today. They live all over the United States, Canada, France, Australia, and other part of the world, which is a very small ethnic group. From Laos to the United States, that was right after the Vietnam War. We play a major role helping the United States military of rescuing pilot and other people in Laos. Christianity came to us, and then we become in faith. But in order for us to talk about that, what is the original, what is the Hmong faith, or what are their religion? It is called the way of the spirit. It is believing the ancestor. And one of the core main belief of that is that you make animal sacrifice, you call upon them in time of need. And at the same time, annually, you would continue to call upon them for help. But regardless of all of that, one of the main core is that we have many spirit. When you die, one go to the ancestor, one stay at the grave, one reincarnated. So reincarnation is one of the major belief that once you die, you will come back as another person or as the same person, but your life should be better than what your previous life. So this kind of faith, this kind of belief is constantly lived on fear whether you do enough for the ancestor so you can reincarnate to become a better person. And this is a belief that is very, very hard to minister to. Mm-hmm. And in Lansing here, we do have a large population, roughly over 3,000 people. In the whole state of Michigan, we have over 7,000 people. Majority live in Detroit, Pontiac, here in Lansing, and some live in the Tri-City. That's what I ministered to one of the churches up there in St. Michael, and I also ministered to the Our Savior here in Lansing.
And so, what are a couple of the potential obstacles one could face when witnessing to a Hmong?
Sure. As such a larger population here in Lansing, when you do encounter a Hmong, just talk to them first and try to understand where they're from, what they've been through, and why they're here in the United States. Of course, because of the war, everybody's been immigrating to Thailand and to the United States, becoming a refugee from the war. But in order for you to see a clear picture of how you could witness to them which is we'll talk a little bit. But the obstacle that you're going to face when you first talk to them, when you try to tell them about Jesus Christ, you're going to run into a few obstacles, which is I will mention. Number one, their fear of to giving up their called Hmong religion, believing the spirit, praying to the ancestor, offer sacrifice to the ancestor. Sacrifice is very important to them, and their yearning tradition is always to be with the ancestor. Another thing, they feel that they need to stay with the Hmong religion because they think that Jesus is a white man's God. The Bible is written by man. So everything here is already put their mind thinking that that's not a religion that I want to be in. Not only that, when they look at around all the Christians, why are so many denominations? If they call themselves Christian, why don't they just have one denomination and not all of this other denomination? Again, mostly they fear of losing their identity as being a Hmong, so they should stay with Hmong, and they should not go to other different religion.
Now, you had stated in the previous show that once you started visiting other churches and became acquainted with the Holy Spirit and with the Lamb of God that takes away the sins of the world, that started to getting you thinking about not so much minimizing the belief of the Hmong, because we would never want to minimize what someone believes, but is that an option for when they come to your church, for them to see the difference between what it means to be an animist, is that what you called it?
That is correct.
And what it means to be a Christian?
That is correct too, because they will see that in an animist belief, they constantly have to do good work to please somebody. But in a Christian faith is when they come to visit the church or they see other Christian brother and sister, they know that the love is there, they know that God's grace is there, they know that it doesn't require for them to all to do this, do, but God's already done this for you. All you have to do is receive it with thanksgiving instead of living fear that you continue, I don't know what happened next year. But in the Christian faith, when they do come in to visit, because number one, they don't like the old religion anymore, or they felt that I cannot practice because I had to learn all of this stuff. And then the other thing is that they see the love of the Christian coming to pray for them in time of their need, help them, support them, encourages them, and also they know that there is the devil. They know there are evil spirit, good spirit, but at the same time they can't really distinguish the difference. So they say, well, if I go to the Christian faith and I go visit the church, they tell me there's a guy named Jesus. He's a savior of the world. So they start learning the basis and integrating them so into the church. Okay.
How do you, it sounds like that you are primed for attracting the 3,000 in the Lansing area and in many ways the 7,000 across the state. How are you getting the message to them? Are you training your congregation to go out to other Hmong families, or do you have a newsletter in your language that goes to Lansing and across the state? How are you reaching?
The Hmong is a very clan-oriented. The reason I raise my finger here is they're all like, everybody know everybody.
Okay.
They either through marriage or interchange or intermingle through friend, and everybody call everybody, whether it be a distant uncle, grandparent, or what. Okay. So if you know one person, pretty soon you will know everybody. Okay. And the way we do ministry here is that we do have a flyer that talk about the church, talk about who God is, why there's hell and heaven. And then each time when we approach people, we would hand them, invite them to church. And also, but just by talking and sharing with the local community that way.
We will certainly scroll across the screen the church schedules, both congregation schedules for your community, so that when you send this this link of sure. this interview to your colleagues and to your family members and to your friends, that may encourage them even more to become a part of this faith movement in the Lutheran Church that makes this conversion from, well, really it expands.
Sure.
It expands because theoretically Jesus is also now our ancestor. Yes. So that's some language that you could use for them to have some familiarity, perhaps, of what they are used to hearing. Before we go to the Civil Air Patrol piece, how did you meet your wife? And since one was in North Carolina, and you were in North Carolina, and she was in Michigan.
She was in Michigan.
How did you meet? And
well, our parents knew each other back in Laos. During the war, her parent took her to France, and my parent took us to Thailand and came to the United States. So when she got back to the United States, I happened to visit Michigan, and then met her through the relative and everything else like that. Mm-hmm. Then we dated for about 2 years. Okay. And then like that, I just come up and asked her to marry me. So very simple like that.
Very, very simple. Now, is it your custom to marry, are marriages arranged, or are marriages, or are marriages based on who you meet in high school?
All ethnic or all different people do have those. I know that it's not practiced in Caucasian, but in the Asian community they do have arranged marriage. But my wife and I was not arranged. Okay. So we actually meet each other. We actually dated each other, and we go through, I guess you can say, the normalcy route. Okay. Not the tradition where you had to be arranged when you're 3 years old, yes. and you don't even know the person. We did not do that. But they are practiced. They do have those arranged marriage practice in the Hmong community. And
now 5 children and 25 years later.
Yes.
Let's see. You said that you accepted the third call. You had 2 calls, but you really accepted the third call in 2004. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So all of these years, 20 years or so, life is going along. You've got your business, and it's booming, and you're having children, and they're growing up, and so okay, I hear you, Lord. I know I ignored you twice before, but now I hear you. What was your wife's response?
She was surprised.
Yes, I bet.
And then, again, like I mentioned in our first segment, that we talk and we share, we pray. Yes. And she gave me the encouragement to move forward.
Yes.
And as I look back again, if I would accept the call earlier in life, mm-hmm. I would not be ready, and the ministry would not be the way it is. Mm-hmm. The reason I say that, because when I look back, God had placed me, say, okay, you're going through in your youth, you're helping the church, you mature, you're learning. Mm-hmm. As you get out of high school, you're going to law enforcement, you learn the legal system. Mm-hmm. As you and then continue with a law degree, you're learning the legal system. Mm-hmm. And now you working with the community, you're helping the community, you're doing the restaurant, you're learning communication, you're learning how to respond to people, you're learning how to serve people. Mm-hmm. So when I look back, with all of those prepare me in advance. Yes. And now when I do the ministry, when people today, my wife and I are the only 2 that has a name at the Secretary of State in Michigan that authorized to translate for people that when they go to take their written test for the permit, if your name is not on the book, they won't let you translate. So that's one other way that I volunteer my time to do community service to translate for people. When people get in trouble, they're in jail or they involving Department of Human Services, legal system. I already have the training. I already have the experience. I already have the background. I could help them going through immigration, through the legal system, lead them the right way. Community service. Yes. People need help. What can we do to get connected with the community? I have the experience. I can point in the right direction. So it's kind of like God kind of placed me in all those in advance. So now I can look back and say, okay.
That's why.
That's why.
Then is why now.
Yes.
Outstanding. And in relation to that, is there such a thing as time running out for you to take the bar, or between the time you get you got your law degree, your Juris Doctor in jurisprudence in 96, I believe it was?
98.
98.
Right.
Do you have a certain time when you have to take the bar?
It just like depends on every state has a different bar requirement. So whatever state that you are applying for, you got to apply for it. And then when they check your accreditation, everything, and then you can take the bar. So it's not really a time running out or anything like that.
Well, Chaplain, time flies when we're having fun. Believe it or not, we only have 10 more minutes.
Okay.
And so let's move into the Civil Air Patrol ministry, so to speak. How did you find out about the Civil Air Patrol? Did you have any prior military experience?
No, I do not. Okay. The only thing I have was I was a ROTC cadet commander for my unit in North Carolina.
For your CAP unit, Civil Air Patrol? No,
that is the NJROTC, Naval Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. And I knew it about Civil Air about 25 years ago then. Okay. But I did not do anything with that until back in 2010. And when I found out that, okay, there's something that I can do to serve the community, what can I do? So it pointed me to Civil Air Patrol.
And why did you not just continue from the cadet corps right on into the Navy?
That's my original plan.
Okay.
That's my original plan, and I did have a really good recommendation from my commander that applying to the Naval Academy, whether to West Point or the Air Force Academy or whatever, that would be my first choice. And my goal was to go that route. But plan changes when your father doesn't speak any English. His marriage was crumbling. So I was kind of like the main sons in the home that have to take care of him. So instead I chose to say, well, okay, my oldest brother is a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. He's already in the military. If I chose not to go now, I should be able to do something to help my dad until then. So one thing lead to another. I chose to go to college, marry, and take care of my dad, build a home, and make a living out of that. And then military life was still never far away, but somehow, you know how life go. Things got sidetracked, everything else, by the time you look at, wow, 20 years already passed.
Yes.
But then again, when the Civil Air Patrol came along, and when I look into it, we're not military, but we are military. In a sense, you can say half and half, because we are civilian, we're serving under the United States Air Force authority. And that gave me a chance to serve, whether or not the active, because right now I'm at the age where the military doesn't take anyone that's over 41 or 42. So I could not serve full time, but I still able to serve other capacity, and I did not regret anything at all in the past. I did not regret say I did not get to go to the military. I did not regret say I married early. I did not regret anything in my life. I just pleased and proud that what I have done for myself, my family, and for the future to come.
Chaplain Lang and I are both in the Civil Air Patrol. Chaplain Lang is the regional chaplain here in what is called the Michigan wing of the Civil Air Patrol. And theoretically, Chaplain Lang is my supervisor. I am not in uniform today, but I do have one. And I will be putting it on in the very near future. Chaplain, what is, and also he will have an opportunity to, like his brother, become a lieutenant colonel in the Civil Air Patrol, and maybe even a colonel. who knows, maybe even a general in the Civil Air Patrol, because the opportunities are the same. The difference is we are civilians serving in the military in the Air Force uniform, but in Civil Air Patrol, which is an auxiliary of the Air Force. Having said that, what is CAP, or Civil Air Patrol?
Well, thank you for asking that question. It's a very good question. Many people doesn't know what CAP is or Civil Air Patrol is. It is founded by Gil Rob Wilson and supported by General Henry Hab Arnold. Founded in December 1, 1941, 1 week prior to Pearl Harbor. And with that, the organization just took off. Congress recognized it. We are actually chartered by Congress. And in 1946, President Harry Truman signed a public law. In 1948, that's when Congress enacted to permanently establish the Civil Air Patrol as an auxiliary of the United States Air Forces. A couple of things about Civil Air Patrol. Our main focuses are the three primary missions, which is we do aerospace education, cadet program, and emergency services. Anybody can join the Civil Air Patrol. We don't discriminate or limit it to anything. Basically, if you to be a cadet, you got to be at the age of 12 to 20, and to be a senior member, you got to be above 21. Up to as long as you're able to serve, whether you be 90 or 99, as long as you still can serve.
Do you know who our oldest senior member is?
No, I don't.
Okay, no, I was just curious. I don't either. Yeah. I know we have a couple of people in their 70s, but I don't know.
They went way beyond that now, closer to 90 or even
oh my
above
goodness.
90.
And the three areas are the cadet programs, which provides our youth an opportunity to enhance their knowledge and leadership skills through an interest in aviation.
That is correct.
And then we have the aerospace education, which promotes and supports aerospace education, wherein you and I and the cadets can also learn how to fly.
Yes. Yes.
And then there's the emergency services, which is about inland search and rescue, directed by the Air Force Rescue Coordination Center.
That is correct.
And under the support of the Homeland Security Department. So it is extremely important. CAP plays a an extremely important role in the life of our nation. How do you become a senior or a cadet?
A senior is, as long as you're over 21, you just filled an application. Of course, there will be a criminal background check. After you pass that, then it's national run out that it came back with the, give you an ID showing that you are now officially a member.
Okay.
There is a fee associated with that per annually, which is right now is about $69. To process your ID and to process other paperwork, more than administrative work to help out with that. To be a cadet, you just got to be 12 years old to 20 years old. Just put an application, and I believe the cost of that is half of what the senior cost is.
Okay.
And then if there are uniforms that can be issued at no charge to the person, it is no charge. And some of the uniform that if you don't have one that is fit you, you may have to purchase yourself. But it is, we do wear the Air Force. This is the dress blue. This is a Class A uniform that you do wear along. If you meet the height and weight standard, then you do wear just like the Air Force does. Okay,
so you have to meet the height and the weight standard to wear that particular uniform.
That is correct. And
the dress uniform.
The dress, this is the dress blue, and the regular blue, it just without the dress coat. Now, if you are overweight, then we do have what we call an alternative uniform. It will be a white shirt with gray pants. You get to wear the ribbon. You get to wear all the insignia, and that is the only difference. But
and the jacket is?
There is no jacket for that.
Okay.
And the only difference is that when you wear the alternative uniform, if you are prior military service, you cannot have your prior military ribbon to go on that uniform. You wear CAP uniform only. But if you meet the height and weight standard, you wear the blue uniform, you can have your military ribbon and CAP ribbon.
And does the height and weight standard differ from the actual Air Force?
No, it does not.
So there's no leverage being a civilian.
Well, it is. They do give a little break.
Okay.
I believe the height and weight standard they do give a little bit break from to meet the Air Force standard.
Okay. Well, we are down to less than 2 minutes.
Okay. Well,
so we may need to bring you back to
Sure.
talk about your duties as a chaplain.
Okay.
And also to discuss the core values, the 4 core values of CAP. Thank you again,
You're
Chaplain.
welcome.
If you could briefly tell us where to go online to find out about CAP.
Sure. You can go online just for www.gocivilairpatrol.gov, or you can just go to www.capmembers, it would be CAPMEMBERS.com.
Wonderful.
And anywhere in the nation, you will be able to find a unit that are closest to you. That if you would like to volunteer your time to serve, remember, Civil Air Patrol doesn't charge our services to anybody. It's all volunteer, it's all free.
And the advantage of being a cadet?
Advantage being a cadet is you get to learn all these cool tricks such as flying or rappelling, doing every activity that learning the basis of aviation, emergency services, and again, the cadet program.
Yes.
Leadership training, character development.
Yes.
All of those are part of being cadets.
This is absolutely wonderful. Well, Chaplain, this has been a wonderful time, and I thank you so much for taking your time out of your extremely busy schedule with a family and 2 congregations and Civil Air Patrol and helping folks legally. And when do you sleep? Well, we hope that you will continue to be encouraged on your way, and you certainly are a source of encouragement to me. And ladies and gentlemen, there it is for this time. We thank you for joining us and permitting us to be in your home, your place of work, and we invite you, of course, to become a part of a faith community nearby, and to remember to pray as often as you can. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We're going to ask the chaplain to repeat that prayer in his native tongue.
Okay. Van chu pu ko mo to ku to serenity lu sai yang ku ku long chi tao. Pu ku mo tang pen su lu long yang ku ku long tao. Ha zu ke za ken je to ku bang o ko I kho ku chen chen to long la te no.
And until next time, serenity.